So when I decided to join IIT Delhi, I remember the counseling phase before joining, when they asked us to list our preferences and such on forms. And I remember just really not knowing what I wanted to do at all. I knew that I liked math. I knew that I liked physics from high school. But beyond that, I didn't really know which engineering discipline I would like most. And so I went with the flow. People fill in computer science, followed by electrical, and so on and so forth. And there was some standard template most people followed. I just did the same thing. I also thought at the time, actually, that I would really not like computer science, because as a high school student, my perception of CS folks was people that sit in front of a computer all day. And I thought I didn't really want to do that. Over the course of my degree, I realized that I really liked computer science. And that was because of certain courses I took. I thought they were really exciting, and they didn't mean sitting in front of a computer. They were mostly math and logic and really cool theory stuff. And I started really getting drawn towards computer science theory. What had also helped was a KVPY camp that I had attended as a high school student that told us a little bit about quantum physics and RSA crypto systems. And I thought that was such cool stuff, and I wanted to learn more about it. And then about the final year of my bachelor's degree at IIT Delhi, I started working with Professor Ragesh Jaiswal, who had recently joined. And his focus at the time was on cryptography, privacy, theory of CS. And I thought I really found those topics very fascinating. And so I think all I did actually was mostly just read papers and discuss them with him, but I thought that was so enjoyable. And I was really looking forward to thinking about research problems, but it took a little time for me to build enough background that I could actually start confidently thinking about problems. At the same time, I did an internship at Microsoft Research, and that was also in cryptography. And while again, it took me a significant amount of time to just read through background and understand what the state of the art is, so that I could start building upon it. I just found that process already really enjoyable. And then later, when I actually started trying to solve a concrete problem, this was like maybe in the final semester of my bachelor's, I thought that this was really cool stuff and decided this is what I wanted to do. I was so happy when I got a PhD offer, and I instantly knew that this is what I wanted to try to do at least. My parents were not very happy, because that meant moving out of India, at least for a while, and they would have rather had me closer to home. Overall, I was really happy that I decided to pursue a PhD. I then spent 6 years doing a PhD at UCLA, after which I spent a year as a postdoc at Microsoft in Boston. Both were amazing experiences. And finally, I now am at UIUC. I'm a professor here, and it's amazing to get to interact with students and to show them what was shown to me so many years ago. I think one of the earliest such experiences was when I think already in my first year, when I just joined. I think I was not doing as well academically because of stress and being away from home for the first time. It didn't affect me. I fell sick, and so for all those reasons, I did not do as well as I was expecting myself to in the first year of my undergrad and at IIT Delhi. And I think that one of the things that really helped me get out of that period of not performing at my best potential was just really nice, interesting discussions with the faculty in the electrical engineering department. And I specifically remember Joshi sir and Vishweshwaran sir, and I'm not sure if they're both there anymore at this point, but I remember having just such interesting research discussions with them about just the general nature of the universe, and then also circuits, but just from like on all sorts of topics. And I thought that really helped give me the confidence that I was able to think about and talk about these things and be interested in them and provide interesting enough insights that people wanted to talk to me. And I thought, and that really helped me think about just gain some confidence, I think, in myself. And then I'd say over the next few years, I did a bunch of really cool courses. One was the CS introductory course that Professor Subhashish Banerjee taught us, and I thought that was a really cool course, and really enjoyed computer science. And after the course, I went and told him that I find this very exciting, more exciting than some of my own core courses. So can you advise me what should I do if I wanted to do research in this area? And then he gave me a few problems. They were in the area of computer vision, and I started working on them. But eventually I realized that I was more drawn again to the theory aspect of things. And so I again went and asked him to suggest what to do if I really liked the theory aspects. And then he recommended I talk to Professor Rakesh. So I did that. And then, of course, working with Professor Rakesh Jaiswal on research was really exciting. And I'm so glad that he decided to take me on, even though I had much less background in CS compared to many of the core CS students at the time. All of these transformational experiences that I had along the way that helped me, first of all, decide and realize how interested I was, and second, build the confidence to build confidence that I would be able to contribute to these fields at some point. And so I'm really thankful for all those experiences. Two memories are bubbling up. One was during a rendezvous when we had friends come. I had friends visiting from outside, and then also my hostel friends, and we were hanging out throughout the night, I think, just hanging out near Vinti and participating in all the rendezvous events. Although I don't really remember the events specifically, I just remember how much fun it was. And another memory I have is I think one of the nights going to India Gate with a bunch of friends, crammed up in an auto, and we barely fit in it, but it was just so much fun to be there. So I guess I remember the times when we would just hang out, spend hours on end. Okay, that reminds me, there was another night in the Bharti building when we spent many hours looking at stars from the balcony, and that was from the terrace, and that was really nice too. I don't really remember exactly what we were doing. I just remember those nights. They've just lasted in my memory all these years. I would say that my parents have been the biggest influence, because they've supported me no matter what, no matter whether I did the right thing or made mistakes. They've continued to be 100% supportive of my decisions, and I would say that they've certainly been the reason that I have been able to have confidence in myself. And growing up, they were the reason that I had a comfortable environment at home where I could focus on studying, and we know how competitive the JEE exams, etc. are. And so it really requires a significant time investment, not only on my part, but on my parents' part, just making sure I have everything I need. And all the way from there and up until this day, I live in a different country than them. But even so, just the extent that they go to make sure that that I am happy with what I'm doing. I think that's been, I would say, the biggest. They've been the biggest support in my life, and also my biggest influence. I think I've been lucky in that there's been not many very explicit instances of discrimination. That said, I think that this is an almost universal experience. There's microaggressions, people telling you that you wouldn't be where you are had you not been a woman, that there's been advantages that you've had, and to some extent there's some truth, and I think it's important to level the playing field at some level. And so it's important to actually have initiatives that encourage less represented people to actually participate in these fields. But at the same time, I think that especially because the areas that I've worked in are male dominated, I think there's certainly some situations where I felt that the situation should have played out differently, and that things were not as good as they should have been. So, but there's been thankfully no very explicit specific cases. So I think many women are not that lucky, and not just women, many other people from different sorts of underrepresented backgrounds are not as lucky. And so I definitely laud all the efforts that are being made, and I hope we speed it up. So I haven't been in industry ever. I graduated, went straight to a PhD, and from there came straight back to academia, becoming a professor. I think over the last decade, I've seen that there's been a significant push to make the environment more comfortable for people from all backgrounds and minorities and orientations and genders and so on and so forth. So I think that's been really, it's been really great to see the kind of efforts that people are making to get a more diverse population to enjoy engineering broadly and computer science more specifically. And this is especially true of my stint at Microsoft, where it was just really amazing to see the efforts they put in to find and then to interest and then finally recruit people from a variety of diverse backgrounds that would otherwise, without that support, those people would not have been doing what they were doing. I think that's been a really positive change. That said, I don't think that we are where we should be yet. So we need to do a lot more. And I hope that happens at an even more accelerated pace over the next decade. I think that all these issues are really delicate. It's important to encourage participation by, like you said, by opening up more opportunities for women. But and this needs to happen at every level. But I think where it has the most impact is doing it at a really early stage. So I think if you really try to encourage, for example, parents in India to take their daughters' careers as seriously as they take their sons' careers. And this is not to say they don't. I hope that most people do, but growing up, I experienced that was not the case around me. And it was more like, okay, men need to have a job because that's how they rise in society. And women can just do it as a hobby. So, do it if you like, you get to study, but it's not really something that you should, don't be very ambitious. This is not something that you need to, this is not the main goal of your life. And I think that getting out of that mindset is important. I'm sure that most women at places like IIT Delhi, I hope most women at places like IIT Delhi are privileged enough that they've come from a society where their careers and their studies were valued. But even so, I think that there needs to be a bigger change among the mindsets in the society, where people realize that a job is not just something that you do to pay the bills. It is something that you can derive some value from, and that's why it's actually important for women to realize their full potential, to do the best they can. And so this has to start all the way from school, and encouraging girls to learn math, and getting rid of these like stereotypes that we have about women not being good at math, and just encouraging girls to do STEM education already at really early ages. And I think that that's where, in my opinion, this would have like the maximum impact. I think one of the things that I learned, one of the traits I developed during my IIT Delhi stint was just doing what needs to get done to accomplish tasks. And of course, I mean, just I think IIT just taught me that there are so many people that are so good, and that if I really wanted something, I had to work as hard as I could. And this is something that I had not experienced before during high school, because things came a lot easier to me at that time. And just being among such great and such hardworking people at IIT Delhi made me realize that I needed to keep pushing myself to get better. And I think that really is the trait that I would think is really important in academia, is to just every day try to be better at what you're doing, and try to make it a learning experience. Just learn constantly. I think it's amazing that as a computer science researcher, that I get to do basically whatever I want to do. And I think that's really the best part of also being a professor, is you get to chart your own course, you get to work on problems that you think are interesting, and you get to also excite other students about them. And I just love that freedom. I feel really lucky and blessed to be in a profession where what my schedule on a day-to-day basis is something that I just get to decide. About one semester every year, I teach like a bigger course that's more for bringing undergrad students up to speed on topics. And then the other course, I get to just choose my favorite topic and talk about it. And so I just love that kind of academic freedom. I think I want to do impactful, meaningful research that is beneficial to the general community in some way. As CS researchers, we're often like lost in the technical details of what we're doing. And I think it's what I really want to do is to be useful to the broader community. I try to do that to some extent by helping students, so by teaching them and by just having general discussions with them about research. And I think that's how I feel that I impact the most number of that's where my maximum impact lies. But at the same time, I think looking many years forward, I think I'd be happy if I had done some meaningful, impactful research that benefited the community in some way, or if I had facilitated it through other people. I mean, there's so many brilliant people, so if I somehow helped someone do something cool, I'd be very happy with that too. I would say do it, and it's going to benefit not just you, but I think overall other women in STEM professions are really looking forward to there being more women. And like I was saying before, not just women, but also people from all sorts of diverse backgrounds, people of different orientations. And it's just really important that there are diverse voices in order for the field to be welcoming. But more importantly, there's all these recent ethical issues that we're facing with tech supporting politics in various ways, and there need to be like ethical lines that need to be carefully towed. And I think it's important that people that are responsible for building this technology have have a diverse representation and listen to people from all sorts of backgrounds and think about the implications of the work that they're